If you're serious about being a prepared citizen, and based on the views we get on different videos on this channel, you are probably going to want to watch the rest of this video. We are going to be talking about what order you should buy all of your gear in. We're gonna cover everything from PDWs, carbines, pistols, night vision, body armor. We're gonna talk about all of it. Now, what this video is not going to be is this is not going to be a master plan on preparedness. There's different aspects of being a prepared citizen that we're not gonna be able to touch on the scope of this video. So a few of those things are going to be your training schedule, which you need to do, your ammo stockpile, which you need to do, your food, which you need to do, and your planning, which you need to do. So there's a lot of stuff this video is not going to touch on. I already know some of you guys are gonna comment and be like, oh, you should spend all that money on training. Well, yes, obviously your training schedule is gonna have to fit into this schedule. And honestly, these steps they're gonna take you years. People often make a lot of lateral changes in their gear selection, right? So let's say, for example, you purchase one optic at a certain price range and you want to upgrade, right? So you do a lot of research and you swap it out for a different optic. Now you spent a bunch of money, you spent the time buying, selling, trading gear, only to get marginal improvements in your capabilities. The point of this video is to basically just do it once, right? These are going to be tiers. Once you've completed tier 1, you move on to tier 2. Once you completed tier 2, you move on to tier 3. They build on each other in their capabilities, and they really encourage you to generate that momentum and preventing people from stagnating and getting stuck in their preparedness sphere. Now, we're gonna start at the very, very basics, the EDC, and we're gonna work all the way up to home systems, and we're gonna talk about where these fit. Now, the other thing to talk about is that people often buy gear extremely out of order, right? They buy night vision before having body armor, right? Or they buy, a PDW before they have a Nalgene. So these are often happening because people identify a need in their capabilities. They identify some type of capabilities gap, but in doing so, they address some of the less likely scenarios first, and they get kind of down the rabbit hole of like, oh, well, which night vision is the best option for me when they maybe don't even carry a handgun yet. So now the items themselves are gonna be left pretty open-ended, but I'm gonna show you guys a lot of the options that I own and that work for me. I'm not telling you that you have to buy these things, but they are owned by me for two big reasons. Number one, they're really high quality. I don't own anything, nothing is on this table that I wouldn't spend my own money on. And also, a lot of the companies I'm gonna talk about share the values of not only the Second Amendment, but in enabling and equipping people to be prepared citizens in their daily lives. So these companies share a lot of values. There's gonna be gear in here that either was provided for this video or for some other initiatives we're working on in the marketing department, provided at a discount. Maybe I paid full price for them. There's a good mix of them, right? So I do wanna disclose that up front, that some of these items I did get either a discount or for free, but that doesn't impact how I feel about these products. I would trust my life and spend my own money on them no matter what. So just excited to be working with them and show you guys some of the options. So tier 1 is gonna be your immediate essentials. Those are gonna be the things that basically should never leave your body, of course, venue permitting. So pretty basic. Pocket knife, everyone should have a pocket knife. A lot of these things aren't gonna be a big surprise to you if you spent any time in the preparedness community, but I did want to at least write them down as the baby steps. Your cell phone, obviously, this is going to be your gateway to the world. In most emergencies, it's gonna be how you get a hold of loved ones, friends, family, law enforcement. So, and then the big piece, the piece that has to be on you 7 days a week, is going to be your handgun, right? And it doesn't have to be a Gucci Rollin' Special like this one, but it should be a reliable handgun, right? I think Glock, by and large, is a very affordable option. You also have great options with Smith & Wesson's M&P 2.0. I do think that we are in the day and age where you should always have a red dot on your handgun, but I'm gonna leave that up to you. That is gonna be open-ended. Like I said, I'm not gonna make any major brand recommendations in this video, except for, shamelessly, this is a TXC Holsters Covert, which is a very recent release from TXC Holsters. It is a great way to conceal a handgun with a weapon light. I have a suspicion this next tier is actually going to be the most controversial one on the list, and I'm okay with that. So, what is tier 2? Tier 2 is what I'm calling the self-rescue tier. So if you do any type of research on natural disasters, fires in homes, car wrecks, travel in general. Medical is the most likely type of scenario you're ever going to run into. And having a fire extinguisher in the house makes you significantly more prepared for disasters than owning a gun does. Now, let's talk about these individual items. They're going to be first and foremost a IFAK type of setup. So not going to get into too much of the contents of the IFAK for medical reasons and because that information is readily available out there. Everyone's situation is also a little bit different, but at minimum, you should have a tourniquet. You should also have some type of compressed gauze and a way to dress a junctional wound, and you should have chest seals. Now, that is a absolute bare bones, very, very minimal. Oh, gloves as well, so that way you don't get people's nasty blood on you. That is a bare bones IFAK. That's not everything in here, but what I just listed off is going to be kind of the very, very basics. And you can do something like this gorgeous Spirit of Systems splatter fanny as a way to carry all that with you. I do have another IFAK in here. I have, like I said, some stuff, a tourniquet, some stuff to pack junctional wounds, a set of chest seals and everything. And this is my IFAK, right? It doesn't have to be splatter. It could be, you know, Ranger Green or Wolf Gray or whatever you want. And then at home, you're going to want to have a fire extinguisher. Guys, these are 40 bucks, right? And you save a lot of disasters by just having a fire extinguisher. Please, please, please get one. Do your research on how much this is a cheap piece of insurance that can save your life and how much more likely you are to use that than a gun. In that same vein, get a first aid kit for your house, guys. It's so basic. It's so easy to do, but it's not cool. It's not sexy. It's not part of the, you know, end of the world, everyone's gonna die type of scenario, but it does actually make you, you know, the real hero in your life. So the last item I'm gonna talk about is not something that actually goes on this table, but it is a physical item. It is going to be $1,000 in a savings account for emergencies only. Now, I am going a little bit of Dave Ramsey on you guys, but guys, more than half of the United States doesn't have a savings account that could handle $1,000 emergency. You are not a real man if you own night vision and you cannot afford to put a new alternator in your wife's car. I'm just gonna say it. I think your priorities are a little mismanaged, and I love night vision. I think night vision is incredible. But the other reason I want you guys to have $1,000 in the bank is I want you to learn how simultaneously hard and easy that is to do, because you're gonna want to buy once, cry once, or rather buy nice or buy twice with a lot of this gear. And what it does is it sets you guys up for the discipline early on of setting money aside and really honing in on your financial goals and being able to afford the gear that you want to have as you progress through these tiers. So that's it for tier 2. We're gonna get into the really interesting stuff, the stuff I think you guys are actually probably waiting for, which is tier 3. There's a lot of stuff on this table right here, but I promise it's more digestible than it looks, but I will warn you, this is gonna be one of those tiers that maybe takes you a couple of years to kind of flesh out. You know, you might be able to do it in one depending on what route you go, but for most people, it's probably gonna take them, you know, a couple of years. So first and foremost is gonna be some sort of outdoor appropriate clothing. You get a couple options in my opinion. You can either go with a field top, which has a lot of great utility. There's some great uses for this. Spirit of Systems did a video making the case for the field top. The other option that is really great is something like this Vertex flannel. If you don't want to have a camo look going on, but you want something that has a lot of utility like a field top and you just wanna look a little bit more like a normal guy, I do think this is gonna be a great option. You don't have to get those types of tops. You can get whatever top you want. I just brought them out as a couple of examples to represent having that durable, earth tone, rugged outerwear. So moving on from there, your carbine, right? This is what everybody thinks about, right? With a rifle and a dream, you can change the course of history. So your carbine is gonna be whatever carbine you go with, but obviously the one that I'm gonna like, and we are on a Zenith Firearms channel, is going to be our ZF56. This one happens to be the 12-inch version, which is our most popular version. That will matter when we get into suppressing this, which is a later tier, but the 12-inch is great. There's a few things on here that are non-negotiables for me, no matter what type of carbine you're rocking with. So first one's gonna be a red dot. The future is here, guys. Red dots last 20,000 hours. They're extremely dependable. They're very durable. And yeah, you should have one because you shoot a lot faster, you learn a lot better. You're much quicker with the red dot than you are with iron sights. You still need to train. Again, not going to touch on training in this video, but you are going to be much more effective with the red dot. You also need some way to retain your carbine, right? You have a holster to retain your handgun. We have a sling to retain our carbine, right? So get a sling. This one's a Blue Force gear, but there's tons of great options out there. And then the last system that I would not go without on any type of fighting carbine is a white light. Now, this is a departure from what the Department of Defense does with its infantry level of people, and that is going to be that they don't issue a white light for you know, your infantrymen on the Department of Defense side. But I do think it's a non-negotiable. When it comes to making decisions on the use of lethal force, you have a responsibility to get as much information as possible, and a white light is very important for that. This one happens to be a mod light with a pressure pad, a whole Unity tactical setup on here. And this is another one of those non-negotiables. I am going to recommend a specific product in this instance, mostly because I think they make the best one. That is going to be the 100 Concepts light cap. It just kills the reflection on the front end of your white light, and you get some added protection from white light negligent discharges with that cover on there. So that is going to be one product I recommend you go with. It's like $20, $30, depending on which version you get, if you get the ruggedized or the standard version. So the carbine, right? The fighting rifle. Good eye protection. I probably should have mentioned that. If you're gonna be shooting with a handgun, you're gonna need eye protection, but it's in this tier. A basic assault pack. You guys remember this one from my Your Get Home Bag is Probably Wrong video, which I would imagine a lot of you found this video because of that one. This one is just a basic Mystery Ranch. It's like 18 liter or 20 liter assault pack. So a way to carry more gear, you know, in and out around your home, your vehicle. You're gonna need an assault pack. I do like Mystery Ranch. I like Vertex as well. So that just gives you a couple options there. And the other two big parts, you know, the major components are going to be your chest rig. This is a Spiritus Systems 34 Alpha. You're gonna see a lot of Spiritus Systems in this video. Again, they not only make quality gear, but I know that their heart and a part of their mission set is providing good equipment towards prepared citizens like us. So I love Spiritus Systems, shamelessly. This is gonna be their 34 Alpha, which is, it's a chest rig, right? You need some type of a chest rig. It doesn't have to be a split rig like this, doesn't have to be a Spiritus Systems, but you are going to need a chest rig. I would recommend one that carries a minimum of 4 magazines. I don't think that 3 is quite enough. Now, your mission set and whatever your situation is might be a little bit different, but generally, I think you're gonna wanna keep it around 4 to 6 mags, which is what I have this one set up for. I got admin pouches on here. This is gonna be when I store my night vision on a later tier. It's going to be where I store, obviously, my ammunition for my carbine. And it's also where I store my Nalgene. This is the other piece that you're going to need in this tier. I would recommend having a 1 liter Nalgene bottle, and this is gonna be another one of those. I recommend it because it's really the only one in its market. A Cana Provisions Personal Water Decon Kit. I talked about this in my Get Home Bag video, but this is a way to basically, in an emergency situation, when all else fails, this is kind of your last line of defense. This is a real cheap way to just be able to have drinkable water on your body. It's not gonna be pleasant, but it's not gonna kill you either. So that is the water system. And then lastly, the first piece of armor I recommend anyone get is not a plate carrier. It is a ballistic helmet. Why is that? Well, there is one part of your body that houses all of the sensors for gathering information for decision making and the thing that does the decision making, and that is your head. So protect your head, get a ballistic helmet. This is gonna be one of those expenses that is very, very difficult for people to consider right out the gate, because this is probably, you know, right behind the rifle, gonna be the most expensive part. But guys, it's your brain. You do not want to make any type of concessions when it comes to the safety of the part of your body that makes you you. So, ballistic helmet, that's going to round out the third tier. Oh, last piece to talk about is going to be comms. This is not a comms video. I am a comms instructor, but we're not gonna talk about that in this video. You're going to want some type of comms system, and you might even want some level of redundancy, right? So if you and your guys go with something a little bit more sophisticated, like this Motorola, whether it's, you know, P25 DMR, You still are probably gonna want some redundancy to be able to listen to things like emergency weather broadcasts. Some of these radios can do analog, but guys, a Baofeng, I know you have one. Like, come on, you have a Baofeng UV5R. You're looking at it right now. So Baofeng UV5R, and then some way to integrate it into your ear pro on your helmet. This is a PTT from Disco 32. Disco 32 is going to be one of those companies that I recommend because, again, shared mission set, shared values, and they make really good products. If you want to connect basically any radio that exists out there to a military style headset, there's nobody out there that I would consider who isn't Disco 32. So another one of those shameless plugs. Let's move on to tier 4. Okay, so the next tier, tier 4, is gonna be for your urban/vehicle type of use cases. So that is a few considerations for it. The biggest one is going to be sound, right? So this is the tier where I would recommend picking up a suppressor. So suppressor is going to suppress the signature and the sound of your carbine, like this ZF56. And like I said, this is our 12-inch model. And this 12-inch model accepts suppressors, even ones like this little bit longer Dead Air Sandman S, very, very well, still very wieldy, great setup for it. I would say that in this day and age, especially with the approval times of suppressors right now, I would highly recommend getting one once you get to the tier 4. The other one is going to be some type of a gas mask, not necessarily for any type of radiation or nuclear types of situations, but more so that if there's any type of rioting or maybe if there's some types of fires like we've seen around the country, this gives you the ability to just protect your lungs, protect your ability to take in information and make decisions from things like smoke, tear gas, things like that. So get yourself a gas mask. This one's a Mira. I actually prefer Avon. I think Avon is slightly higher quality, but Mira is not bad either. So the other one I wanted to get into is going to be your plate carrier. So full disclosure, both the plate carrier and the set of plates were provided to us. The plates specifically for this video and for future projects. And then the plate carrier was provided not specifically for this video, but for a few different projects that we have going on. So just want to disclose that to you. With that said, I have owned and I've used, as you've already guessed by now, plenty of Spiritus Systems products. Their LV119 is, in my opinion, the best scalable plate carrier that still does a great job at being no more than you actually need if you're just getting started, just like we're talking about in this situation. The next piece to talk about is going to be the armor that goes in the plate carrier, which is the Hesco 3811s. And that is going to be a recommendation I make for you guys. The 3811s is a great, great value product. It's a continuation of their 38 series of plates, which is going to be level 3 rated. The 3810 was the predecessor to this. This is the 3811, and this actually shaves an entire pound over the 3810s. So you still get level 3 plus. There's some additional ratings that you can read about on their website that go above and beyond, I believe, the standard level 3 rating. But doing that and shaving off a whole pound is a pretty big deal. So I'll just get these installed here while I talk about the next part. Now, you guys already saw I had a shingle attached to the front of this plate carrier. You don't have to go that route, but if you do, make sure you have a IFAC setup for it as well. But honestly, what I would recommend doing is just get some type of fanny pack setup, and that'll be your IFAC no matter what level you are working with or what type of situations. That just gives you a lot of flexibility inside vehicles, chest rigs, wearing body armor, wherever you are in your day-to-day life. I think a fanny is going to be a great way to do a IFAC, and then also you can just wear your chest rig over the top of your plate carrier. I've seen plenty of people do it. You could even get a little bit creative and disengage the Swift clips from the harness you have on your chest rig and just attach it right to the front right there using those buckles. Again, that's part of the great scalability that you get with the 119 is you can get it really trim, really minimal, and you can scale it up as you need. So that is the level 4 for urban operations. Oh, hi there. So Tier 5 is your sustainment pack, right? So this is most guys would call it a rucksack. It's kind of the infantry verbiage you would use, but it's your sustainment pack, right? So it's everything you need to survive in terms of days, not hours. So that encompasses a few things. I'm not gonna get too much into the specifics because your environment and your use case is gonna dictate a lot of the specifics, but your sleep system, in my case, I just have this one's actually a US Marine Corps mat. I like it because it actually folds in half. After I Z fold it up, I can flatten it against my back, and a super lightweight sleeping bag. I have a gravity filter system. This one is from, this one's actually a little bit of a Frankenstein kit. It's from Cana Provisions. They retail a lot of the water equipment. I do have another IFAK on here. I do have a water bottle on here, and in there a titanium cup, also from Cana Provisions. Just a great little camp tool, something you can cook food in, something you can boil water in. I'm not gonna explode out too much of this and get into too much detail, but we can touch on it a little bit. So, this is my food bag. It's where I keep my MSR pocket rocket, my Jetboil fuel, some Mountain House meals, and ramen noodles, stuff like that. This is the rest of my water kit. This is available from Cana Provisions. They do sell a full kit that has some other systems in it for manufacturing water. We're not gonna get into that in this video. I have a bug net because I live in the South where there's lots of nasty, nasty bugs. Tons of, not tons, but 4 spare magazines to get me to 10 total. And the rest of this is just going to be different changes of clothes and a poncho. So the poncho is that last piece of my shelter that makes me rain proof. So the best place for information on stuff like this is gonna surprise you. It's going to be REI, right? So this is basically just a backpacker's setup, right? I do think in a lot of ways, backpackers are way more prepared to be a modern day Minuteman than the average gun owner. And the big reason, because they know how to self-support. They know how to sustain themselves. They have an entire culture and ecosystem around that. And so if you're looking for great information on how to sustain yourself out of a backpack for many days on end, look into a lot of backpacking. Maybe even consider getting into backpacking. But anyway, sustainment, that is tier number 5. All right, you probably knew this one was coming, and I have bad news for you guys. Tier 6 is by and large probably going to be your most expensive tier, and that is because it is night vision. Now, why would a prepared citizen want night vision? Now, there's a lot of great reasons to get into night vision, but the biggest one being the best way to win combat at night is to not get into combat. And the best way to do that, to be able to maneuver, procure resources, and make decisions that keep you out of danger is with night vision, because you are able to gather information without projecting it, right? You no longer have to use a white light to gather information about the dark, and it's dark 50% of the time. So, night vision, these are dual tube night vision. You do not have to go this route. Most people are going to get a PVS-14, which is going to be a monocular. You're going to need 2 more things. You're going to need a way to mount it to that ballistic helmet that you purchased at tier 3, and you are going to need some type of retention, you're going to need some type of retention system to securely mount it to your helmet. And that's going to be, in most cases, a Wilcox G24. So, get it mounted to my helmet here. There you have it. I have a complete night vision helmet setup now. My helmet is complete. And and what's nice about that chest rig I showed you guys earlier is that when I'm not using my night vision, it just goes in one of those GP pouches, or they can live on your head if you have some way to black it out. So the night vision is unfortunately only half the system. You are still going to need a way to interact with the world around you, project photons, but you want to maintain that stealth by having it be photons in the infrared spectrum that only you can see. And that's where your laser is going to come into play. This is my favorite laser. This is the B.E. Myers Mall. It is very expensive in terms of night vision lasers out there. There are more expensive options out there, but this one is certainly not the cheapest option. But it's my favorite because of its ergonomics and its performance and its availability. It's pretty much always available from B.E. Myers. They do make a civilian variant, and quite frankly, I've used the full power ones, and I don't think there's much benefit to be gained if you're going to acquire one on the gray market. The massive difference in price you're gonna pay. I think the C1 Plus is a great laser. So the B.E. Myers Mall, or any complete night vision system, is going to have three parts to it. It's going to have a visible laser for zeroing during the day, and it's going to have an infrared laser, which is going to be the laser that only you can see while wearing your night vision. Keep in mind, other people with night vision can see it as well. But it also is going to have your illuminator package. The mall happens to have more than one. A lot of them only have one, but the mall has multiples with different angles. But it's basically a flashlight that only night vision can see. So if there is zero light visible, your night vision is not going to be able to see. Now it amplifies light exponentially, so you're able to see a lot in dark areas. But sometimes you need to give it just a little bit of extra juice, and that is where your illuminator comes in handy. This is why I like the mall, because I can very, very easily control the laser's power and those divergence angles of the illuminator by adjusting this slider here and by actuating these two buttons. That is the night vision tier, the tier 6. So in that same vein of being undetected and reducing our signature as much as possible, tier 7 is going to be a suppressed PDW. Now, why would you want a suppressed PDW, especially something like the ZF5 or this ZF5P that's built out with our brand new handguard, bunch of other accoutrements? Well, the biggest reason is that you're able to get much quieter and reduce your signature than you are with a 5.56 carbine. So some type of suppressed PDW that allows you to be extremely quiet and do things like acquire game and just have minimal signature in many different aspects is going to give you a lot of benefits. It's also an incredibly small package like this ZF5P. And that allows me to do even better in and around vehicles, moving throughout a city undetected. I talked a lot about this with my get home bag. That's why I used a ZF5P in my get home bag. I think it belongs absolutely in that tier 7. Another option would be our ZF300. So we have a few different 300 blackout variants of the modern roller delayed system, like the ZF56. 300 blackout is also an incredibly quiet round, and like I already mentioned, they're in some very small packages. We have a 7-inch, we have a 9-inch. Our ZF300 also would be an amazing candidate for the tier 7. All right, so you made it that far, and now what is tier 8? Well, tier 8, it exists, but it also doesn't exist. Tier 8 is the expansion of your household and all the needs that go along with your household. So that's really up to you to define. Do you need more advanced comms like mesh networking or repeater systems? Do you need the ability to do drone recon? Do you want a DMR system? Do you want a thermal system? Maybe another ZF5 for your wife because it's an incredibly easy platform to shoot. It's really up to you. This is where you're gonna flesh it out, and it's up to you to define what tier 8 looks like. But the point is to move on from everything else that you've done, right? So stop buying different rifles just for yourself if you don't have these other preps fleshed out. Sit down and decide what the path forward looks like. Do you want to have a water manufacturing system in your house, like the Cana bucket tower system that they've done a video on? Do you want some type of bushcraft loadout? Do you want a overland rig? The point again is you kind of have to define what tier 8 looks like for yourself, but you've completed all these other systems and all these other capabilities already. There is no need to look back on them. I understand if maybe you're replacing a piece of gear that maybe was a compromise on safety, or it wasn't really quite what you were looking for. Maybe you needed a magnified optic instead of a red dot, but for the most part, stop making lateral changes, right? Stop trading this optic for that optic, or just trying out different night vision lasers, although I'm guilty of that myself. Sit down and decide with your preparedness and your financial and ultimately with your life goals what you want the rest of the tiers to look like. Because again, tier 8, it exists, but it's up to you to decide what your tier 8 looks like. I hope this answered some questions. I'm sure I made a few people mad with my recommendations and some of the thoughts I had. You should tell me all about them in the comment section. You didn't hesitate to do so in the Get Home Bag video. Lastly, I'm gonna say it again, I said in that video, please be praying. Pray for your family, pray for our family, pray for our country. This is a really, really incredible country where we have the freedom and the ability to do all of this, and that comes with a responsibility as well. As we say at Zenith Firearms, be a citizen, not a subject. And we are unapologetically Christian. We are a God-fearing company. We hope you guys are too. If not, we're still gonna pray for you and we still love you. We hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you guys for watching.